Joining us now exclusively is Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Madam Secretary, it's great to have you on the show tonight. The suspect in this ICE facility shooting was identified as 29-year-old Joshua John. We know the investigation is ongoing, but what can you tell us tonight about him?
Well, we can tell you that he was on an elevated rooftop, that he shot into a building, into a carport area, that he was targeting ICE based on what we've seen as far as evidence so far in this case, and that we have to do all that we can to make sure this never happens again. So unfortunately, we see this kind of violence out on our streets every day. We see people that have been targeting our law enforcement officers across the country, not just in their rhetoric, but also in their actions out on the streets. And some of them appear to be acting independently. We don't know that for certain with this individual yet. We have to let the FBI finish the case, and we'll still continue to work with them to make sure that we do due diligence. But we also know that every day our law enforcement officers out on the street are facing terrorist organizations, cartel members. They're facing very dangerous individuals and networks that are sophisticated, that use technology. And what we're going to do in response, Laura, is that we're going to hire more ICE officers. We're going to go out and hire more law enforcement officers. We're not going to stand for this in the United States. And I'm so incredibly proud of our president, who is furious over the fact that we every day are seeing victims of crime, victims of this kind of a terrorist attack on a facility where people were working, showing up for their jobs, and all they wanted to do was to be able to do that safely and go home to their families at night. So, Laura, we got a lot of work to do in this country, but we're going to make sure that we are a country that obeys the law, we follow the law, and if these politicians don't like it, then go ahead and change it. Quit going out and giving speeches. Go actually do something with your lives and accomplish something, and have a debate over policy rather than just attacking innocent people and people who get up and go do their jobs with honor and dignity and respect.
MSNBC's law enforcement analyst says that a motive shouldn't be assumed in this case. Watch.
You can't just assume by that what was written on that shell casing that that's necessarily his motivation. He could have been doing that to thinking it was funny, trying to put law enforcement on the wrong track.
Madam Secretary, tonight Americans are very concerned about this feeling that it's open season on law enforcement, in some cases conservatives. We saw what happened 2 weeks ago to Charlie Kirk, another elevated roof. Is there anything tonight you can tell us about that shell casing that could change that type of thinking, that this might have been a joke or it might have been something written to get everyone off the trail?
No, I can't, Laura. And the fact that he said that or even suggested that is irresponsible. People don't go around etching things into shell casings and then firing them into buildings for fun. Nobody does that for fun. People do that are evil, that want to destroy other people's lives, and that want to make a statement. And those people feel like they get cover when you have leaders in this country going out there and defending those types of actions, which is exactly what these congressmen, what these senators have done, what these governors have done, what Gavin Newsom and Tim Walz have done by saying and calling names at our law enforcement officers who are just doing their job and trying to protect their communities. Everybody needs to remember these officers live in these communities too. They live there. Their families are there. They want to make sure that their kids can go to school and that their families can go grocery shopping and go to their jobs and be safe. So overwhelmingly, the American people is with our law enforcement. What I would tell the American people is send a strong message. Sign up. Go to join.ice.gov and sign up, and we will put you to work helping keep the backs and have the backs of these individuals who are so wonderful to go out there and defend America.
Madam Secretary, do you have any idea how this individual, Mr. John, got up on this nearby roof? Had he been up there for a while? Had he cased the joint? Any CCTV footage that you can tell us about tonight?
And there'll be more details of the case coming forward. The FBI is leading this case, so we will let them do their work. We're partnering with them and the Dallas Police Department as well. Our Homeland Security Investigations team is a partner, so we'll do that when it is appropriate and make sure that the information we're releasing is correct, because people deserve the truth. And unfortunately, people hear a lot from our members of Congress, and from the fake news, they don't get to hear the truth.
Well, Secretary Noem, moving on to another story, NBC released a report yesterday that initially had this headline: ICE held 5-year-old autistic girl in Massachusetts to pressure father to surrender, family says. Well, later in the day, they changed the headline and added this correction, which read, an earlier version of this article mischaracterized these activities of ICE agents in the video. What happened here? Because again, it seems to most, I think, common sense people, not even political people, there is an effort to paint ICE as Gestapo, Nazis, jackbooted thugs, and now they're abusing children and trying to chalk up more arrests.
Oh, absolutely, Laura. What they did was absolutely lie to the American public. What happened in that situation with that autistic little girl is that her father was a criminal. He was a criminal who had endangered children in the past, and then he abandoned her in the vehicle and ran off to protect his own freedom and abandoned his daughter behind. And so those officers protected that little girl. And then we have MSNBC lying about the story, using it to try to demonize these officers who were the ones who stood beside that little girl when her father ran away to protect himself. So those stories, I think, Laura, the Department of Homeland Security has to put out 5 or 6 press releases a day just saying this report, this article that you read is absolutely false. This did not happen. We did not deport U.S. citizens. We did not separate children from their families. No, this individual was arrested because they murdered somebody. And we over and over and over again, we have to keep putting out press releases just to make sure that people know the truth. The problem is that these networks are so sold out for a lawless country and a borderless country, and they're so opposed to President Trump and what he's trying to do to help America be successful and free and safe again, that they will do anything. And so what we're going to do is continue to be strong. We're going to continue to enforce the law. We're going to hire more law enforcement officers, and we're going to bring peace to our streets.
Madam Secretary, thank you very much. Great to have you on tonight.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.